listeners, and welcome back to the Skylight Books podcast series. You're in for another Better Than the Movie, where three booksellers get together with a talented guest to discuss movie adaptations of books, or, as is today's case, a movie adaptation of a short story.
It's still a book. It's in a book.
It's true. I'm your co-host, Justin Remer.
I'm Allan Traylor.
I'm Tyler Austin.
And today, our talented guest is the Jeopardy champion, Jeopardy guest host, and author of the book Baby Got Facts, Totally 90s Trivia, which will be available for pickup. We got some signed copies today. Very exciting. Buzzy Cohen.
Thank you for having me.
Well,
I didn't know I was supposed to be a talented guest. I was expecting to just be a guest. So
First time for everything.
Yeah.
We finally got a smart person on the show. It took us a
is that
year.
A problem?
Shouts out to all our other guests.
Yeah. Well, once their episode airs, do they really keep listening?
Never.
Of course not.
No.
Yeah.
Love them all, but I mean, come on.
I mean, to be fair, I do the editing, but these guys barely listen back to the episodes. When
It's hard. It's hard. I've been on. I was the host of two podcasts, and it can be hard to listen back to.
My mom listens for me, so.
Did she tell you what a great job you did this week?
Not really.
How does that make you feel, Allan?
She keeps mentioning like one of our older episodes. I'm like, is that the last one you listened to?
We really peaked at that point. She thinks.
Which one was it?
She loves the "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret."
Oh yeah.
She loved the idea of just three grown men being like, I don't know, it's kind of a beautiful book.
Judy Blume, man. Judy Blume.
So this year we did a thing where each of us got a birthday pick. In January, Allan picked a Clive Barker gem.
Nightbreed.
Thank you.
Gem is strong.
Maybe not strong enough.
Tyler, in April, picked Moneyball.
March.
Right. What are months? What is time? I keep thinking time is a flat circle, and then people are like, nah, it's just something someone said once.
It's linear. It keeps moving straight.
Yeah, it does, unfortunately.
Unless you're Nettie Merrill.
Well,
Foreshadowing.
Hey.
And then
arguably, he moves past his own train of time.
Save it.
Sorry. Yeah, okay, sorry.
and so this is my birthday month. Also, I guess by the time while we're recording it now, my birthday has not come, but by the time this drops, my birthday will have just passed.
Get your presents ready.
And I just simply wanted to bring a short story into the mix. Like, we haven't done a short story yet. It's been a couple years. We should do a short story. So I was very excited when I learned Buzzy was up for being a guest and wanted to bring this delightful short story, which is
The Swimmer by John Cheever.
And which was adapted into a film in 1968 by the Perrys, Frank Perry directing, Eleanor Perry screenplay, and also with some uncredited Sidney Pollack directing, because producer Sam Spiegel, he's quite a guy. We'll talk a little bit about it. I watched the making of, and he's quite a guy.
In the 60s? Very surprising.
Yeah.
Very surprising.
But so, Buzzy, talk a little bit about why the John Cheever's on your mind, why you brought this to us.
Yeah, so there is a gentleman. Okay, so roll back the clock almost exactly a year, and I decided that I'm not an especially observant or religious person, but for the week between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, I decided to kind of put my phone on the back burner a little bit more than I usually do. And like all habits, you don't get rid of habits, you replace habits. So I decided to replace it with reading, which I've never been a big book reader until this past year. There's a gentleman on TikTok named James Ward. I don't know if you are all familiar with him. He's a very nice seeming British man who always seems like he's on the verge of death.
Oh.
But he recommends...
Like in a fun way, or?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. But he recommends books very earnestly, and he also gives kind of like some criticism, like, does this book live up to what it wants to do? Not really, like he'll say stuff like that. So it was really good. And he recommended at one point, "Will You Please Be Quiet, Please" by Raymond Carver. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So he recommended "Will You Please Be Quiet, Please" by Raymond Carver. So I went to get that, and it wasn't in, but I got What We Talk About When We Talk About Love, and I read those two short story collections back to back. Rocked my world. Went back to the bookstore that I frequent because it's closer to my house. Sorry, Skylight. I do love Skylight when I'm in the area. The independent bookstore that I frequent, and was recommended an Isaac Babel collection. This is a long walk, but it's going to get us somewhere.
It's like jazz, man.
You're talking to book nerds. Like, we love this.
Loved,
journey.
and I was kind of, it's funny going back to like the not religious things. Somebody's, the person who recommended it kind of mentioned his like Jewishness, and I was like, ugh, is this going to be like Sholem Aleichem, like Tevye the dairyman? Like, I do not want that shit. But it was amazing. I loved Isaac Babel. And then so I went back to that bookstore and I said, all right, this was great. What else you got? And the woman recommended Gogol collection, and then said, actually, before you read that, you should read this. And she recommended A Swim in a Pond in the Rain.
The George Saunders book.
George Saunders book, and that rocked my fucking world.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to curse on this podcast?
Yeah,
As much as you fucking want, baby.
Yeah.
So that rocked my world. So I read that. I read the Gogol. I read a Chekhov collection. I read every Saunders collection I could get. I read Cheever. I read Flannery O'Connor. I read Ted Chiang. I read like every not every short story collection, obviously, but I've been reading voraciously and almost exclusively either short fiction or nonfiction for the past year. So I've read a lot of short fiction, and I was talking with our mutual friend Greg. He saw me carrying the Cheever collection because as you learned, I also have the Hemingway collection with me that I'm reading right now because I'm always carrying the book. If I have a spare moment, I want to be reading. And it's a hyperfixation.
Nice.
My current.
Yeah, I was a little curious because you brought the two books. I was like, oh, is this like a year? Like, this is the year of short stories, or is it just like you just really got into a groove and you're just in the groove?
I'm in the groove. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of Forrest Gumping this short story thing. Like, I'm going to keep going until
Forrest Gumping my way through life as well.
So, but yeah, a lot of very exciting and surprising discoveries along the way. We don't have to get into all of them. But yeah, so anyway, Greg and I started talking about The Swimmer, and that was kind of how we got here. But there, when you and I started talking about the podcast, I'm like, there are so many very interesting films that come from short stories. I feel like, especially as I started to dig into it, a lot of science fiction,
Of course.
a lot of like Arrival, is a Ted Chiang short story, and a lot of the Philip K. Dick stuff was
all of them bad.
The adaptations or the
adaptations. I love the short stories. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, fight me on a good one.
Is Total Recall Dick?
Sort of, but I love that movie, but it's a terrible adaptation.
Okay.
Both of them.
Alan's giving you his character dynamic.
Well, I would actually argue that based on my recollection of the short story, which I did not like reread for this podcast, this is a pretty bad adaptation.
Nice. Coming
I
spicy.
sort of agree with you. It's a weird one.
It's a weird one.
It's a very weird one. Because they embellish things, and I'm like,
exactly.
This is clearly padding, but also like you are trying a thing, but also why this thing?
Well, there's also like I feel like in a weird way. I mean, it makes sense because it's a whole film instead of a short story. There's this is gonna make me sound so snotty. There's a lot more text.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah. Like the interactions are really like kind of a lot chattier for sure.
Well, and also what's going on with our protagonist is set out in a much more explicit and coherent way, whereas I feel like the story is much more open-ended and impressionistic.
For sure.
And it's way more shocking because you sort of know it's not going great, but you're like, oh no, he's really fucked.
Yeah.
Like he's beyond fucked.
Which is maybe the question of like the amount of time it takes to sit through a 90-minute movie versus read a 12-page story.
Right.
Like what can you sustain?
Well, it was 30 minutes plus a lot of horse galloping.
Oh, he does love running with them horses.
He loves running with the horses.
Who doesn't? I mean, come on, you know?
And always the same little like area. It's like, aren't you walking a certain way? Like, I was like, is this even real? I don't even know. Anyways, we'll get into it.
Sure. I did want to. You talked about Greg. So it's Greg Tower, who actually will have a short story in the upcoming Pushcart Press collection that comes out in December. So keep an eye out for that.
Congratulations, Greg.
Yeah, a very fun short story that was previously in the Santa Monica Review. But he has said to me before that he has a theory that short stories make better films than novels do.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about that on my drive over because, there's so much in a novel that it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that I think, I don't know if it was Saunders quoting Chekhov or Saunders saying, but it's like, if you're in a short story, it is the most important day of that person's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is what you want a movie to be.
Yeah.
You don't need exposition.
And also, I can't remember who told me this, but someone described a short story as like, it's basically trying to convey one single idea to you, and everything that's in it is devoted to that one idea. So if you understand the short story, you can extrapolate that into a movie as long as you have like a full understanding of what the hell you're doing. Not always the case.
Yeah.
Well, and also years ago I read I guess I'm technically a writer now. I wrote for Pop Culture Jeopardy this summer. I had a summer job.
Nice.
Hey. Very, very tied in with the swimmer that I had a summer job. But
it's teams of 3 on that show, right?
That's correct.
Oh.
You guys can't do it now, though, because you know me.
Damn it.
Sorry. I read a thing about screenwriting, and the example they used was Empire Strikes Back. Okay. And in the original script, it starts out with Darth Vader in front of the Emperor being told to go out and look for Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and do whatever it is he's doing. The final version, he's already out doing that. Because you don't need to know all of that. Clearly, somebody who's more important than him said you should go do this. Or so. It's like basically in a film you want to start as late into the action as possible.
Sure,
And I feel like short stories often do that. It's we're here for the meat. We're here for
just the filet mignon, baby.
Yeah. So I don't know that I always agree with Greg, but I think there's something to
that. It's very easy to disagree with Greg. Extraordinarily.
Just a little context for the folks who aren't in the room. Greg is someone that both Allan and I worked with at the last bookstore, so that's how we know him.
Mm-hmm. A sage-like man in his way.
Yeah. So we usually like to kick off the show by sort of discussing stuff in the genre that also interests us, books or movies. But since this is our first short stories, I think it might just be fun to riff on short stories and short story adaptations. So since you are our guest, Buzzy, please riff with us.
Well, a lot of Poe. There's a lot of Poe out there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And a lot of, when I started looking at like things based on short stories, a lot of like mystery stuff, early, like Conan Doyle and all that. It's like, because those genres, work really well. And sci-fi, like we talked about.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because before I'm currently, as you can tell, well, the listeners at home can't tell because they can't see, but I'm currently reading complete short stories of Ernest Hemingway. We can talk about that if you want. But I read The Killers, and there is a very good film adaptation of The Killers, which was like the breakout role of
Burt
Lancaster, who is the star of The Swimmer. So I'm kind of tying it together here.
Yeah, very graceful.
I'll give you really quickly. So I actually emailed George Saunders because I believe I heard on a podcast that maybe his daughter works with you or did work with you.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So I emailed him because I was just blown away by his writing, which I don't know what that says about me. But anyway, he...
to be fair, he's really good.
He's very, very...
I think it makes you human.
Yeah. But he wrote me back, and he was talking about, and he talks about it as well in Swimming Upon the Rain, where he was really trying to be Hemingway when he started writing, and then before he kind of found his own voice. And so everyone's like, Hemingway, Hemingway, Hemingway. And I remember reading Hemingway novels and not like loving it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. This is supposed to be great. And so I bought this book. And everyone's hyping it up, and I read it, and guess what? It's fucking incredible. Like, all the short stories are so good. And I know, like, whatever, Hemingway this, Hemingway that, but it's interesting how different it is from, for example, The Swimmer, where it is, a friend of mine said that Hemingway, it's imbued with meaning, but without symbolism.
Sure.
I could see that.
Like, it's like sort creating its own mythology in a way. Like, no allegory, just meaning.
Yeah.
Whereas The Swimmer feels like, and
not everything's got to be about something, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's about things. It's just not symbolically about things. The Swimmer, for example, felt to me extremely allegorical, both the text version and the cinema version.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's like I'm getting a lot of agreement from Allan, who's supposed to be the contrarian.
It's mostly just Tyler that I disagree with.
Okay, got it.
When Tyler starts saying things, we'll
see
start.
where that goes.
Yeah.
Is that? Did I kind of lost the thread of what you wanted me to do.
You filled the brief, I think.
Okay.
Certainly better than any of us will, so I wouldn't worry about it.
But I would say also, I think there is a simpatico thing with Allan, I'll say, because he is frequently, like when we do staff picks at the store, he is picking short story collections. Like he loves a good short story collection. So for that reason, Allan, would you like to go next?
Sure. I guess like I'm trying to think of like, I don't often reread books, but at both the Last Bookstore and Skylight, I've staff wrecked this book called The Great Frustration by Seth Fried. And I think I read them just about every year, and they're always so fucking funny to me. And so creative, so imaginative. But the one that I'm thinking of the most that I always come back to is this story of like these scientists uncovering like a frozen Neanderthal, and they start making up this narrative about him. But every time they thaw out more and more items, like his story becomes diminished, and like he turns into a coward, and like their lives reflect every bit of information that they learn from him, and they start lashing out. Like when they think he's a hero, they start having affairs in the office and stuff. And it's written in like the plural, we kind of style. And I've always loved, like, that's basically his default style, and I really love that kind of story, where it's like an entire, in this case, an office, but like a entire sort of people going through the same motions, but acting as one. I find that kind of shit fascinating. Also, George Saunders is amazing. Civil War Land and Bad Decline is the greatest book about retail ever written.
Better than In Persuasion Nation?
In Persuasion Nation is really good too, but Civil War Land was the first one, man.
That got you?
I fucking love that book so
10th of
much.
December is the one that got me.
I actually haven't finished that one. I've read some stories from it. That's like one of the only ones I have.
That's like that was my number one recommendation.
Yeah.
Other than Swim in the Pond, like if people wanted to read his short stories, that's the one. And I actually recommended different stories to different people for their first read, depending on who they are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nice. You also had said in the lead up, like, maybe we could do Spiderhead, and I'm like, just that movie is so disappointing. This would be a really...
Oh, I would love to talk about a bad movie. Are you kidding?
Well, if you like this, maybe we'll have you back to...
I would love to come back.
Talk about the bleakness of Spiderhead.
Yeah. Or if we could find that, like, Amazon Prime, like, pilot that they did for, like, I think they got rid of it.
Semplica Girls? Did they do?
No, it's like that, one before that, I think.
Somebody did option. I was reading about it, but somebody did option Semplica Girl Diaries. I think that's what it's called, right?
Maybe, yeah. I feel like there was like one before that. I can't remember which story it was though. But like Amazon is treating it like it never fucking happened at all.
I actually think like Bounty, which is the novella in Civil War Land and Bad Decline, I thought that would make an incredible, like, it's got kind of like a Huckleberry Finn, Last of Us, Picker-esque traveling across the country, thinly veiled social commentary thing. I thought that would make a great piece of cinema.
I do love a road trip movie.
Yeah.
As previously discussed, Portis is me and Tyler linked on.
I mean, someone's always on a road trip.
Always.
They're going somewhere.
They're always going somewhere.
This is sort of a road trip.
Yeah. It's like a road trip through the fever tunnel in Willy Wonka, but it is a journey.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Was that a Neanderthal book? Did that get turned into Encino Man? How much talk of the wheeze is in that book? Out of curiosity.
Every other word is that. That is kind of strange. I never put that together. Yeah.
He was writing towards Polly Shore.
Yeah.
Wheezing the Jews, wheezing the wheeze. Yeah.
Well, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to set up Tyler, but go ahead.
One of my favorite bits of trivia, since I did write a trivia book, and I'm sort of fortunately known for that, which is a good thing to be known for, knowing stuff, is that...
good to be known for a good thing.
Yeah, I know. Whenever people are like, what's it like to be known for Jeopardy? I'm like, well, there are a lot of people who are known for like shitting themselves on TV.
Yeah.
Allan.
So anyway,
man.
but I have this piece of trivia that I bring up on every podcast that I go on, which are 3 so far. Which is that
the trifecta.
Do you want?
Obviously,
are you ready for this? So, Michael Crichton wanted Steven Spielberg to EP. Spielberg said not interested, but if you have any dinosaur stories, he had just done The Land Before Time, and he was like, "Dinosaurs, the next big thing. I need a dinosaur story." Crichton had written a short story about scientists cloning Triceratops, and kind of that was it. Like it didn't really go anywhere. And he took that short story and combined it with Westworld, which he wrote and directed.
I didn't know that part of it. Yeah.
And wrote Jurassic Park, which Spielberg optioned off the manuscript. Huge success. A great film, in my opinion.
In most people's opinions that are sane,
I was saying that to you because great, fantastic film. But one byproduct of that is that it was so successful that the finance minister of South Korea went to the president and was like, "This movie made more money in South Korea than all of Hyundai Motors made worldwide. We're in the wrong game." And they started this program to create culture to export.
Oh, interesting.
Which gave us K-pop and Parasite and Squid Game and all of this kind of like Korean culture explosion. The Hallyu is a result of a short story, basically. That
You're fucking
Michael
welcome, world.
Yeah.
Fucking welcome.
Anyway, sorry, that was a long walk.
No, that was actually pretty interesting. Yeah.
If I had said that, he would not have given. He would.
No, I would have. It would have been begrudgingly. He would have been begrudgingly.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I always give you your props. Come on,
it's true. Every once in a while.
Yeah,
you were gonna say something.
No.
Tyler.
I was going to just check in. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts on short stories and adaptations?
I really think I should read more short stories because this was great. I really enjoy this. I'm mostly like novels. I'm really novel or nonfiction. I haven't done like deep dives on a lot of short story collections, except for. No, actually, I'm forgetting the one that it's actually based on. But I love the movie Shortcuts.
Well, they actually
smushed together,
analogized
stories.
They put together an anthology that was the stories that.
Oh yeah, it came in the Criterion, didn't it?
Yeah,
like that collection. Yeah. I remember that
because it's different stories from different collections.
Right, they kind of pick and choose from a lot of, which is a great movie. And then there's a million different characters, and they all kind of have these great stories of love and loss in Los Angeles. And it's very Carver, but
the thing that and Alex Trebek is in it.
Alex Trebek is in it.
Wait, he is?
Yeah,
when?
There's a part.
I guess I haven't seen it in a long time.
There's a part Jason Lee's watching Jeopardy, right? All the time.
Well, there's that, but there's a scene where one of them I think is at the opera or a concert or something. They look over and like, is that Alex Trebek? And it's actually him making a cameo.
Oh, it is. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for him.
But what I was gonna say is. The thing that's fascinating is young enough, like I've been a cinephile from age 9 or whatever. So I think I was maybe 13 when that movie came out.
Yeah.
I went to the trouble to see the movie, didn't totally get it. How was a 13-year-old really going to get Shortcuts? Yeah. And I also I bought the book separately when it was sold separately. And mostly was just like... These stories aren't exactly the same. Yeah. I'm confused. Why aren't they exactly the same?
Imagine if your 13-year-old self had read The Swimmer and then watched The Swimmer.
Yeah.
Why is his life so bad? It should be great.
What's wrong with swimming in pools?
Yeah.
People are so mad at him.
Any other picks or?
Honestly, that
Shortcuts
might be
is a good one. Yeah.
Shortcuts is great. I saw it in 70 mil, thanks to the American Cinematheque, maybe 2 summers ago. And like Andy McDowell was there.
I'm going on about the 70 mil humble brag.
No. This boy's always going to movies.
No big deal. It's just
You'll let him get away with it?
I am going to let him get away
a
with
lot of
that.
people don't know this.
I'll attack him for something way more minor.
Twice the size of 35. I don't know if you know that.
I did know that.
Roughly. But it was awesome. And like, and Andy McDowell was there, and
sick.
Altman's son.
Well, now I'm jealous.
Yeah, sorry. And who was the other? There were a couple other actresses, but it was great. I mean, it was also just amazing. Like Andy McDowell, like her reflecting on the movie was hilarious because she was like, "What kind of moron wouldn't take her son to the hospital if he got hit on the head?" She was like, she had a really hard time like getting into her character because of that. She was like very like having a hard time with it. But man, it's an amazing. I mean, everything in that movie's just rock solid.
Yeah.
I mean, I could watch Tom Waits and I'm blanking on her name. Help me out here.
Lily Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin together.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, there's chemistry, maybe not romantic chemistry, but there's something.
There's just something happening there. And then Jack Lemmon as a hammer is just devastating. So, anyways, that's a movie based on short stories.
Yeah.
I also think I just was going to say like about short stories in general being adapted for film is that it's also like it's a one idea, but it's also like usually just a really good premise.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what if?
And it's a pure premise too.
It's a pure premise that's like it could probably only sustain itself for like maybe 30 pages, and it's like, but if you can like expound that out, and like it really
again, if you understand what the story is trying to do, it's
easy to kind of thematically and plot wise like fill in the blanks a little bit, which is nice.
It's the Jack Handy.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
No,
I love Jack Handy, man.
pure
So
comedy.
this isn't like my pick, but you talking about the novella in a collection. It reminded me. There's a collection I saw or read way back from Israeli writer Etgar Keret called. They might have changed the title of it actually to fit the novella, but the collection was called "The Bus Driver Who Wanted to Be God and Other Stories."
Oh, I think I read that collection.
And it's
been a long time.
It has the story that became Wrist Cutters, a love is the story Wrist Cutters a love story and the movie's called something else? Anyhow,
the movie's called that.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I forget, the story's got a slightly different title, but that's one where like I just like when I read that book I was like, this is just such a fresh, unusual, strange voice, and I kind of wish that movie was better.
I kind of like that movie. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but
all same.
Yeah.
Maybe I would be much more forgiving now. But just you talking about the novella in the collection inspiring a good story, I was like, oh right, yeah, that reminds me of The Bus Driver Who Wanted to Be God.
Was the Bret Easton Ellis story that the James Vanderbeek movie was made out of, was that a novel or was that a short story?
I think it's a novel.
Rules of Attraction, I think that's a novel, yeah.
I can tell. That was a test. You passed.
Too many characters.
I don't know why that jumped into my head.
I don't know. Nerds start talking about books. They just think of other books. But what I was going to say, and it might possibly come up because like we love Elaine May, but like really something that I find very interesting is her debut as a director, A New Leaf, based on The Green Heart by I should have written it down, by Jack, famous mystery writer. Anyhow, so Jack, famous mystery writer, wrote a story about a guy who marries a woman to kill her and
take her money.
Yeah. And
as you do.
And Elaine May made that movie, but she made it 3 hours long. And then Paramount was like, why don't we take out as much murder as possible? And it's still quite good, but you also do feel the moment where things are going fast. Yeah. I feel like maybe an hour has been cut out of this movie. This is crazy. But yeah.
It's very hard to Google who wrote that because of Flannery O'Connell's Greenleaf. I can't help you.
Yeah, because it's The Green Heart is the story and A New Leaf is the movie. But
that movie has one of my favorite sort of like background jokes of anything I've ever heard.
Okay.
Where he's like coming in, which is also an amazing movie. Just in general, because Elaine May, I'm pretty sure at one point my wife and I did a deep dive on this, and it's like that is the first movie where it's written, directed, and starring a woman. period. Like, I mean, that's it, which is like obviously Clint Eastwood's made an entire career off of doing that, and it's basically one of the few times a woman's ever done it, which is very impressive. But also, he goes in to meet Elaine May, and it's at like a society event, and someone in the background, and it's Walter Matthau, is talking to someone in the background, and they go like, "Oh, the Hitler family. Is that of the Boston Hitlers?"
That's pretty good.
Jack Ritchie.
Jack Ritchie, thank you very much. Thank goodness for.
I love a throwaway audio joke.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So, yeah.
I forgot my mantra by the
Yes, exactly.
that was what's his name? Jeff Goldblum in, was it Annie Hall?
Yes, I forgot my
party.
Yes, I forgot.
Cool. Well, I think we've offered a lot of potential picks for you listeners that maybe you know and need to revisit or don't know at all. So let's get into today's topic, The Swimmer. It's trickier because you're sort of the synopsis guy, Tyler, but it's a shorter synopsis. But
it's a short synopsis. I was going to say there's not a ton of plot, so we can maybe just
sure, and just start with it.
Yeah. What if there was a swimmer? Okay.
There you go.
In a world.
And
in a
scene.
world where a man swims. Well, I mean, basically, I guess it's...
where a man swims non-consensually throughout the day.
Through a subterranean stream. Basically, it's like a summer day. A man has been in a pool, and he realizes he's at a neighbor's house. He's about 5 miles away from home, something to that effect. And he realizes, after having gotten out of a pool, that every neighbor and then a community center on the way to his house has a pool that he could go through. And so it becomes this weird sort of
dream, really.
Horseplay. Yeah, it becomes his life's mission for some reason that we'll get into, that he can basically go pool hop, as it were, from neighbor to neighbor.
Yeah.
And he gives it a pet name. He refers to it as the Lucinda River because his wife's name is Lucinda.
Exactly right. And so, yes, he names it the Lucinda River, and he's going to take the Lucinda all the way home. And basically, as he goes from house to house, you learn a little about him each time and sort of what he's going through and why he might be doing this until, we'll just get to the end of this thing.
Yeah,
this is about as fast as it can go.
I think there's no way to really talk about this interestingly without just saying, okay, this is going to be complete spoilers. Complete spoilers. All right, here they come. Here they come.
Well, there's little moments along the way, like there's that nudist couple that he jumps into their pool naked, and they're like, "We're so sorry to hear about all your misfortunes."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And then he just keeps going, and you're like, "Okay, so something happened to this guy." Basically, he finally makes his way home, and he's been thinking about, my 4 daughters, they're probably playing tennis, and whatever, my wife's probably still at the neighbor's. And then he gets there, and he's realizing, like, why is my house dark? What's going on? And then he looks in the windows, and it's all empty.
There's a
literal
window.
Broke. End of story.
Yeah.
It's like, right. The house was empty.
It just ends.
End.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's a great short story.
It's really good.
One interesting thing that is they kind of carry in the film as well is the first line is one of those midsummer Sundays.
Yeah.
But as he goes, it becomes later and later in the year. When he gets home, I think there's discussion of like fallen leaves and it's cold and rainy.
Yeah. Because in the story, he's like, these trees must have diseases. Like, why are their leaves falling already?
Right.
But it's like no time is passing.
He's so good at completely getting rid of reality as a whole. So
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. By the time he's home, it is like, basically.
I did think that was neat because the story has room because it's in his head to say, like, he's like, is my ability to like blot out painful things causing me to like lose track of time? Nah, couldn't be.
Yeah.
There's the fun thing with him and the abandoned neighbor child where he's like, let's have an imaginative swim, and then afterwards he's like, the kid's like, well, but that wasn't real, and he's like, if you imagine it's real. It's real enough, baby.
Are you saying that in the film version or in
I'm saying in the film version that the imaginative
pretty dangerous thought to give a child on his own.
And immediately he realizes how dangerous that thought is because he hears the kid jumping on the diving board and he's like, oh shit. And
but the only time he's realized he's given someone a dangerous thought.
That's right.
Yeah.
The whole debacle with the 20-year-old in the woods.
Well, let's talk about how horny this movie is.
Oh, every wife he meets is just like, my.
So down.
Where have you been?
Which is not, in the book, there's the episode with his former lover, the woman he had the affair with.
Yeah.
But it's not as horny. The story is not as horny.
It's definitely not.
There is the reference to, I think, the first party where he's like, every woman kissed him, every guy shook his hand, but like...
Even just the way he's hugging and kissing in the first scene of the movie,
he's like, full on groping.
He is a groper.
It's not a hug. He's slapping people on the ass.
And what's interesting, like
picking them up.
They kind of in the book, it kind of makes. I think what they're riffing on again. Sorry to go back to the text, but he slid down the banister in the morning, giving the brawn backside of Aphrodite on the hall table a smack.
Yeah,
like I think they kind of took that one passage and said like that's what this guy's about.
This is his whole deal.
And it kind of fits with Cheever because all of these stories are about drunk philanderers, essentially. And I felt like they pulled in a lot of other Cheever things into it. Like there's a short story about a man falling in love with the babysitter, which kind of plays out.
Yeah.
There's a short story about a man who like is holding on to his athletic past and he sets up these like obstacle courses at every party and then like runs around people's houses to like show that he's like still got it.
There's a
that's awesome.
Very swimmer coded.
Let's adapt that. That sounds sick.
Were any of you aware of the John Cheever cameo in the film?
No.
Oh no.
So I watched the making of, and
I did listen to the Cheever audio.
Oh, he reads his story?
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
At a very feverish clip, he reads his story.
Really?
If you ever want to hear someone say pool,
Yeah.
I highly recommend.
Does he have kind of like a Plimpton Locust Valley lockjaw thing going on?
It feels like he's also smoking while he reads this or something. It's like 30 minutes, very entertaining.
It's good.
The thing that's funny is he actually technically has two cameos that are kind of like he basically plays two people during one of the pool party scenes. So the scene where there's a drunk asleep in the pool, that's him. He's
great.
He's sleeping during the pool.
That's funny.
But moments later when like Burt Lancaster's shaking people's hands, there's a shot where he shakes Eleanor Perry's hand, and then the person next to her is also John Cheever.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, the woman who's like husband's drunk in the pool, and she's like, "Hey, Burt Lancaster, you want to fuck while my husband's like asleep in the pool?"
Exactly. Just real quick, there's also a funny comment from the actress who plays the like 20-year-old. They interview her for the making of, and she's like, I don't know. I don't think John Cheever was going method, but I think his ass was really drunk and asleep in the pool.
Yeah.
Hey, why not?
There's a lot to talk about. I don't know if I should just jump in or if you guys have a method.
Yeah.
All
right.
Attack this from all over.
So one thing that really struck me when I read all the Cheever, because he's got this kind of like almost novelesque thing in this town of Shady Hill, but really hit me in watching it was like, do we think the people making Mad Men watch this movie every night? Because I really felt the Mad Men-ish. And then I remember that, I forget which season it was, but like right after Don divorces Betty, the season premiere the next season, Don is swimming. It opens with him swimming.
Oh, I can see that so hard. Yeah.
And it's like the whole like, everyone's down to fuck, and I am ageless, but actually, like time
fading.
Time has destroyed me.
Yeah,
and my
feels
my liver is black.
Yeah, and also just like this sort of sense of like various identities that this guy is carrying around, and lack of clarity about who he is and how people perceive him.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah.
It's that like mid-century modern like a true like identity crisis like that like the
he's also like a surface level dude and he is getting that back at the same time, so he's like constantly in a state of not really knowing what's happening around, plus all the other extra shit that's going on.
So the thing that they added was this kind of like subtext that like his wife has left him. And everyone knows that he's a financial ruin. Yeah. Like he's lost his family, all of his money. Like that is kind of introduced from the very beginning of the movie, which I think kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
Because I felt like
sort of been whispering. It's hard to know because I know exactly what's going to happen, and I'm just looking at how they execute it. But like, it is kind of weird. Like the book is such of a curtain pull that the movie is like, oh no, this guy's whole life is fucked up. Like
Right.
everyone knows it. They're all whispering behind his back. He is just oblivious to it.
I think that's the only thing that the movie has is that the details are so sketchy for it that you're like, I know something happened, but like, how long has the
Right.
wife been gone? How long?
Yeah.
How old are the children? Because like they're at different ages for different people, and it also is sort of like there are people who haven't seen him in years and are like, oh, how's Lucinda? And like aren't, don't
Right.
know not to ask how's Lucinda.
Yeah.
But there are others that are like, oh.
But maybe I'm a simpleton, but when I read the story, it was sort of this like magical realism. Like it didn't feel like a man in denial. It felt like this man kind of recapturing.
It felt like
some
he was
wonder.
living his whole life in a day.
Yeah, and also like kind of recapturing some sort of like ancient American, not ancient, but like earlier American wonder
Primal.
of like exploration.
Yeah.
And like, oh, like I have the freedom to go on this adventure of my own making.
Yeah.
Versus like I am in like such deep denial. Denial is a river in Connecticut.
Right.
The Lucinda River.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that maybe even the Perrys do a better job getting at this sort of like ennui better in like Diary of a Mad Housewife.
Sure.
And that's the thing is like you're right. I think there is a sacrificing of the magic, which also maybe is a little bit Sam Spiegel as well, because it sounds like in the making of that there was a little more of a magic feel to it, and the producer was like, "Hey, guy that I know who edited On the Waterfront, make this make like better sense, make it more real."
The other
horse galloping.
Yeah. Well, speaking of horses galloping, the thing that hit me didn't hit me until the scene with the woman that he had, his mistress, that kind of like, which is also very powerful in the story.
Yeah.
And I was like, it hit me, which is like, it's the Odyssey.
Oh, sure.
Right? Pulling in at different ports and kind of encountering the locals on his attempt to journey home. She was Cersei, kind of the last stop, who almost kind of like kept him from getting back.
Yeah.
And then when he gets home, like, it's a version where, Penelope's surrounded by the suitors. The image of home waiting for you is gone.
Yeah.
That was that clicked for me at that, and the kind of waterway journey kind of hit for me.
This is why we get a smart guest. That's
Okay.
dynamite. That's really good. Well, did you read the story before watching the movie?
Yes.
Okay. I do think that because I had seen the movie maybe 2 years ago and then read the story and then watched it again. And when I first watched the movie, I didn't feel as strongly like I see that he's a ruined man. Like it definitely, it's much more in whispers. And then it like obviously starts to build at a certain point and then it's like out of control. But like, I guess reading it and then seeing it, I could definitely understand how it's like, you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Right.
He's going down, which I think, did you read it?
Yeah, I read it first,
But I don't know, the movie is real. I mean, Lancaster.
I mean, I love Burt Lancaster.
He's so good. He's
incredible.
He's just a real piece of shit throughout this whole thing. But
well, and also,
he's just so charming.
Right. He's got that Don Draper thing where it's like he's so handsome.
Yeah.
He's so charming. He's so earnest.
Yeah.
Well, Lancaster is such a fascinating presence in general because I think first time I saw him was like old man Lancaster in Field of Dream,
right?
Rocket Gibraltar, and you just think kindly old man. But then you get into it, and it's just like even when he's kind of a hero, he's always kind of not a good guy.
Yeah,
Elmer Gantry or whatever.
Yeah, and the Killers and Brute Force, and he's not pure of heart. He's never pure of heart. And so like Tyler, I also came to the movie first and was more sort of like interested when someone said it was like, oh well, the passage of the seasons, that's in the story too, and I was like, how do you do that? And not to tip like where I'm going to go in the eventual vote, but like I was wildly impressed by the way Cheever economically evokes this sort of time without time, passage of time while also being the same day. Like it's so economical, but you also just get that sense. You get what he's doing immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
There's also, not to pull into too many sources, but there's definitely sort of a biblical thing. You know, he finds this young woman and they have sort of an Adam and Eve vibe there. And then, you know, like that is sort of, that's ruined by his sexual assault, essentially. If we're gonna, you know, I don't know.
Well, it's like absolute denial and being like, "Oh, that's nice." She's like throwing herself at him. He's like, "Oh, cool, that's nice, whatever." And then it clicks on, and
right, and then
it flips. She's like, "Oh, fuck this."
Yeah, and then he finds like the boy, and then you know, it's sort of like there is a little bit of that in there.
Well, there is just something about him in swim trunks that does feel oddly Jesus-y.
Well, for me, it was Adam. It was less Jesus and more
sure.
Adam. Yeah,
but that's obviously. I guess maybe when he's doing a stroke, his arms are out. But
my Jesus is ripped and swimming.
But I also wasn't.
My Jesus is a bronze Adonis.
I also wasn't sure. I don't think it was maybe intentional, and maybe it was just a weird side product. But it did seem like in the beginning, Lancaster looks good for his age,
right?
But then when he's with the girl, it's like, oh, I think he looks more toned. I think he looks legitimately.
Yeah, he got more attractive as the film went on.
There's also some really weird cuts in the film.
Where he's like dry and then wet and dry.
But like even more like specifically the one that I had to rewind it because it was so bizarre to me. It's when he's talking to his former lover, and it does like this hard like sort of like 20-degree cut, and it's so jarring that I was like, is she wearing a different dress? Is like, it was all these things different, and I kept replaying it, and I was like, I still don't know if it's the same dress or not. Like, this is crazy to me.
Yeah, just something about the lighting and the change of angle.
It's a different day at the very least, but I was obsessed with. I was like, is this on purpose or?
Well, folding a little bit of like making of, so it's fascinating because that whole sequence is like Sidney Pollack's main contribution. So the scene was originally with Barbara Loden, who later became a filmmaker herself, did the film Wanda, which is a classic.
Great.
Mm-hmm. So she was originally that part. And there's a lot of like uncertainty amongst the people in the making of because the Perrys are gone, Sam Spiegel's gone, Barbara Loden's gone, Elia Kazan is gone, but there's like speculation that maybe Sam Spiegel showed Elia Kazan the scene and he was like, this fucking sucks. Just like get rid of it, cast someone else, do something else.
Yeah.
So they brought in Sidney Pollack. He reshot that whole section. But also like
that scene is devastating too.
It makes me wonder if he was rushed because of things you're saying where like suddenly it cuts to another angle and it's like, whoa.
Well, in a movie that feels like a fever dream, that scene specifically is like crazy.
Yeah. Also they added a lot of things to the rec center pool, which I thought were actually very interesting and powerful.
Yeah. I think that sequence is great. And like that's the thing too is so I watched this with my girlfriend and in the beginning because I didn't read her the whole story, but I was like let's read a bit of the story so you get a sense of like.
You mean out loud? You like read it to her? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
little weird. Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
She wasn't sitting staring at me.
Sure. Okay.
She was crisscross applesauce on the floor. Obviously,
she was doing some stuff. She was like making up something. Anyhow, I was just like, let me just read you a bit of this so you get a flavor. And then from that, she was like, oh, he's dead, right? And then at the beginning, she still assumed like, oh, he's dead. But then as it went on, she was just like, oh no, it's like, yeah, he's like. Eternal Sunshine himself or something and like
I could see that too. I had that thought as well. I was like, is this like Limbo? Like this is wild.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah. Go for it.
I feel like I'm stepping on everyone.
No. That was
That's
my whole thought.
That's what you're here for. So.
My friend Ken Jennings wrote a book called 100 Places to See After You Die.
Yeah.
Which is probably available at Skylight Books.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And one of the things he talks about is that like a very common theme in death, afterlife mythology is crossing water. And anthropologically, they think that was because people knew that when you dug, eventually you'd hit the water table. And there was this idea of like going into the underworld, burying bodies.
Yeah.
You always had to pass through some water. And so I wondered if there's sort of a like river Styx element to this.
I definitely
think
feel for the filmmakers there's something like that.
Yeah, and there's also like the river, what is it, Lethe, where drinking from it makes you forget. Like there's a lot of Greek mythology of like... Yeah.
And there's also the afterlife thing that you're repeating memories of your life and you're forgetting, which also kind of lines up. I mean, the premise, the book and the movie are both so lean still that you can kind of read anything you want into it, really.
Yeah. What is it? So what does it mean?
Bro, I don't know.
I thought you said a short story is like one clear idea.
I was trying to decide what I ultimately thought about it, and I don't know. I'm kind of leaning on the...
Buzzy, you're coming back every episode. Yeah.
Roast his ass. I'm kind of leaning on the man reliving his life kind of idea, but I don't know if I fully...
There's something a little disappointing about that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
But when you read The Rest Achiever, I was a little disappointed. So maybe it's more likely it's that, and he just happened to like write a story with enough space that we all can kind of...
There's just so much space.
Aspire more into it.
I kind of like the magical realism thing of like, it's, it's sort of happening. It's sort of not exactly all real.
In all of his collections, there's really only 2 stories that have that magical real, at least to me. Yeah. There was this one, and there's another one called The Enormous Radio, where a couple gets a big radio in their house and they can hear the conversations that other people in the building are having.
Ooh, delicious.
Oh, wow.
And then it kind of like ruins them.
Of course.
So they get rid of it. But like everything else is sort of just like day in the life of like rich people in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And then he's got these 2 that just kind of stood out. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, even this kind of also just falls under like day in the life of the suburbs, right? And
no,
right?
Like, but not like the other ones.
They're really very,
They're really very.
It is like, I mean, like just.
Well, like, this is like a day in the life of all suburbs everywhere, like compacted into one. Yeah.
Again, like that mid-century, like we have everything. It's we were born at the perfect time,
and we all have tumblers full of vodka. Gin. Ready to go, and gin.
He gets that gin and tonic.
Ready to go.
Oh, that sounds good.
Did anyone catch the bull shots reference?
Mm-mm.
So again, this was something that made me think a little bit of like mythology, right? Because so he offers the former lover a bull shot, and he said, "Remember how much you liked my bull shots?" Which I only know because my parents once met someone who was making them. Which is apparently, I might be wrong. Listeners, correct me if I'm wrong. He asks about like the Tabasco, but my understanding is it's like vodka and beef bouillon.
What the fuck?
And you like mix it up, and it's sort of like a hangover-y kind of cure, and it's like
a broth shot, dude.
Something kind of, I thought something interesting about like, I don't know what, but the fact that there's like, it's not like a gin and tonic. Like their thing is like these kind of meaty, weird, kind of sacrificial,
or like a minotaur.
No, totally. I was like thinking, if it's Cersei, right, she turns his men into pigs. That's one of the things that Cersei does in the Odyssey. So it was like...
Never trust a Cersei, man.
I don't know. Am I reading too much into the film?
No.
I think you can read literally whatever you want into this film.
I think that's literally what it's setting you up to do.
Yeah.
Actually, it is funny. So the little bit I looked up is, did you see the tagline on the original poster for this movie? Is like,
yeah, it's pretty weird.
When you talk about the swimmer, will you be talking about yourself?
Oh,
yeah.
It's so like, it's also interesting because like I really connected with like the feel of this film because a lot of my favorite movies were like Cool Hand Luke, Planet of the Apes, The Graduate. They're all like of this kind of era, and they all have that same like film feel, but also the kind of lensing that they were using. And I feel like they all kind of had this aspiration of like cinema as a mirror to the person watching it, as opposed to like entertainment.
Yeah. This was a bit of a jump, but I was reminded of the thing that you texted us all, which I assume was when you were rewatching.
Yes.
Which was just Joan Rivers, mind blown.
Yeah, I think it might be her first film role.
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And and it kind of fit into like her early comedy stuff, where like, you divorced? It's kind of like her first question.
It's an important question.
They do bring her into the making of, and it's interesting because I guess the deal was that her husband was friends with the Perrys, and maybe they came to a show of hers and were like, you're great. Would you like to be in a movie? And they basically wrote that scene for her. That's why the character in the movie is named Joan.
Right. Well, what's interesting too is like she's like, are you divorced? Like single or whatever? Like she's really concerned about it for the idea of having an affair with him. But then her husband comes up and is like, hey, honey. And it's like kind of show like there's a lot there, I thought. You know?
It's funny too because in the modern day in quotes interview, Joan Rivers is like, I don't know. I think that woman would just go with Burt Lancaster. Like she wouldn't stick with that husband.
Yeah.
I mean, in the first half of the movie, like every woman would go with him.
Oh, man.
And then it slowly starts to turn on him more and more.
It's like I don't remember such a turn in the book where it's like he becomes the pariah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really only like
because he kind of brushes off every bad encounter with, oh, that really sucked, but the next pool is going to be so good. It's going to be great. It's
in the
going to
book?
be fine.
In the story?
In the story.
I didn't remember that.
Well, it's interesting too because it's paced differently in the story because the moment where he has to cross to the public pool and he's like stuck basically
on the highway
on the highway for like a half hour trying to get across that is like maybe middle of the story, but here it's like you feel it's like home stretch. He's really I love when he crosses and he gets to the public pool. The fucking guy that makes him shower.
That's my favorite part.
It's like, show me your dirty ass feet. Those dirty ass feet.
And
between your
did
toes.
not like his tone, man.
In between your toes.
It's like, does this guy hate him or is he like really into his feet? And I'm not really clear.
Takes his job seriously.
I thought
seriously.
I thought that like that kind of said it all.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like, you know, and also just like the class stuff that introduced where it's like the rich people with their crazy filters that they're bragging about don't give a shit about you running around in the mud and then jumping in their pool.
Yeah.
But for the people who this is like the town pool that they have access to, you gotta clean yourself before you get in.
Yeah, I forget how it's worded, but that interaction he has where it's like, so how you like our pool? And it's like, oh, a lot of chlorine.
Yeah.
It stings your eyes, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, there was a lot there. I mean, you know, I can cover up my phone case so you guys don't have to know too much about my politics, but there was a lot I read into that whole interaction and I thought it was awesome. And then again, the mythology kind of like running up the hill felt like, you know, this kind of Sisyphusian
for sure
situation. Didn't have to put a hill there. That was a choice.
Exactly. Well, I mean, even the eventual like him approaching his property of his home, which as soon as we see it, we're like, oh, there's no one here. But he trudges. He bangs.
Well, you know, maybe they're there. And, maybe,
and just bangs on that door in the rain, and like, that felt also very much like a Sisyphean. Like,
By the way, that house looks fucking insane.
Yeah,
the house that they chose.
Oh yeah.
I was like, is this like the Blade Runner house? Like, this is fucking nuts,
also,
dude.
Another thing about the film, I don't know if you felt this way in the book, story, whatever we call it, the text. Felt like the houses were closer together.
I thought so too. Like when he's showing like his route at the beginning, and I was like, that's so fucking far apart.
And these houses are like mansions on these like estates, and it's like and then the naked people are talking about how it's like 2 acre or 5 acre parcels that they're going to split into. And I was expecting like, you know, quarter acre, kind of like half acre, maybe little plots of like houses row by row, like a little more. No.
Truly a fucking journey between each house.
Shot where he's like starting to lay it all out, and it's like, well, it just speaks to what an athlete he is, you know?
Yeah.
He's really.
He's not going across town. He's going across the county.
Yeah. And also, those people should have been right then and there. Don't fucking do that.
They were too hungover to stop.
That is true. That is true.
But it is funny in the first house when he like lays out the plan. They're like, he's joking, right? He'll just be at the next house.
I'm like, do you not see the glint in his eye? He's not joking.
They seem to love him at that first house.
Yeah.
People love him at the beginning, and then it just slowly gets nastier and nastier.
That's some sort of a comment on like the further away from his own home, like the less word has traveled or something.
Yeah, I think so.
As he gets closer to where he has committed these things, these heinous acts.
And even in that first scene, the person who seems to know the most is that one woman. But it's almost like also like in this situation, like she's not going to speak up. Like it's not her place to say, "Oh, don't do that, man.
Don't.
Yeah, she's having her afternoon gin. Why ruin the day, you know?
Yeah. Well, and interesting in the story in the beginning, the wife is there.
Right, yes.
She said, we all drank too much, said Lucinda Merrill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, yeah.
Which I think is kind of makes it more weird.
Yeah, I don't know quite how to feel about it.
It's definitely
it could be like an echo, like it's not even really happening.
Right.
Like
but it's just so normal that it's hard to really know.
Yeah, that's the thing is like the opening of the film, like the credits is just like we assume POV of him just kind of prancing around the forest, like looking for, that first pool to jump into. But it also like maybe creates this sense of like that's him. His spirit is just jumping around the forest now. He's got no home. He's just forest man.
Forest swimmer.
Until he becomes swimmer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was a really interesting where it's like, I guess gives credence to that this could be happening over like obviously like happening over many months or something. Like it's hearkening back to a memory or like in his mind. Well, again, it's funny.
Or is it a cycle? Like it's
right. Has he done this? Well, it is
either
like
one. I don't know.
Again, your girlfriend saying the eternal sunshine thing, where it's like his own mind is able to internal sunshine himself, basically. Like,
well, I mean, he mentions it a lot of times in the story.
Yeah, how
he's like, man, I guess I'm really good at blocking out things I don't like.
If I just block that stuff
it's like you should be a little alarmed at how often you're bringing this up on this one day.
Just shove it deep down. Never think about it again. It's fine.
Never think about it. Keep swimming, baby.
Keep swimming.
Yeah, I never saw it, but it feels like that Adam Sandler movie Click. He's like, I guess just fast forwarded through that part. Oh well, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or 50 First Dates.
It all comes back to the sand,
which has truly horrifying ending.
Oh yeah, because it makes you.
It ends with him like waking up, or no.
Her waking up, and she gets the thing saying like, "When you have a chance, come up because they're on a boat. Come up to deck and meet your daughter."
Yeah, it is like you have a whole family, and it's like you should not have done that.
She plays the tape every morning, and that's how she remembers what her life is.
That's not a good life, man.
It is hard to say.
Sorry, we got
a memento every day of your life. Nah, man.
How do we feel about how much like non-consensual touching? I know we've touched on it
constantly,
but like even with the former lover, there's a no.
Yeah,
that Burt Lancaster, Nettie Merrill is not heeding.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing that's kind of excellent about Lancaster is that like you never are like this guy he's just that's his way. You're just like he's fucked up the whole time. So every move of his feels a bit like a horror movie
it feels like that scene would be just as upsetting and jarring and like as it in 1968 as it is today.
Yeah, I think purposely so.
Yeah.
But it's weirder to me because he is often childlike in his dealings, but he also feigns being childlike.
Yeah.
I think specifically in that scene where he's like willfully pretending a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's the final thing that the film does is it's like we've got to illuminate that like he's not there's no innocence. He's just like kind of manipulated himself maybe into forgetting some things. But he's a dirtbag through and through.
Yeah.
Which plays in the short story much more of a like a surprise. There are whispers in it, but like when it's just said so plainly where it's like, and he gets to his ex-lover's house.
Right.
You're like, oh, okay, so he's like he's a really bad guy. Like you understand that like he's really close,
specifically in the story, he's like, I forget which pool he's at before. Is it the nudist? It's some interaction, or maybe it's the party where he's like, that really sucked. Oh, like when I go see my ex-lover, like this is going to be a great refresher. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
Because that's the party he goes to where the host,
she'll pick me up, and it's like, what?
Where the host is just like, oh, you're a gate crasher.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, can I get a drink? I was like, well, you don't ask for invites, so what? Go ahead.
Such a good detail where they're like, they got invited over 4 times a year, 6 weeks in advance, and they always said no.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I love to. So again, I got the behind the scenes thing. I love too that in the movie that house is actually the house of Reginald Rose, the guy who wrote 12 Angry Men.
Okay.
And apparently, like, he had said yes to the production, but then when he saw like the action, he was just like, "Get these people out of my house!" Like as
The party or the nudists?
No, the party. So
Okay.
like he was the one that had the big like plastic and metal.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Overhang.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you have a friend who has that location, yeah, try to shoot there.
Go for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
What do we think about the hot dog cart?
I was just thinking
Oh,
about the hot
dude.
dog cart. I was like, that's
I
such a-
love that scene so much.
Of course.
And it comes back when he's with the. I thought it was a good way to say, like, when he's like, "Remember I had it in my basement?" And she's like, "I've never been to your house."
Yeah.
Oh, mic drop.
Oh.
I
What do we think the hot dog cart's about?
I
I think the man loves hot dogs.
that
Loves the
is-
dog.
Yeah.
Glizzy City over here.
Yeah, Glizzy City. Well, it's also like some like attached memory with his daughters. It's like
Yes, right, you've got
it's a
one.
great memory that he's holding on to, and he can't believe that he would not have it because it doesn't make sense to him that he would have given up such a treasured thing.
Yeah.
That's how
Is
I
it-
felt about it.
But why a hot dog cart? They could have written anything. The hot
You
dog
ever had
cart
a hot
was-
dog, man? Beautiful.
were they playing circus? Like, but also,
Yeah.
like,
It seems like such a specific thing to have.
Look, we're
Do you
not
know
we're
anyone
not
with
in
a hot
that
dog
suburbs,
cart?
man. You got
I
to
wish.
you had to be there, man.
You don't know a guy who would love a hot dog
Like,
cart.
it could have been
Yeah.
a bar cart and been like, "This is my bar," or
Yeah.
Well, I guess it,
I think-
"This
but
is my
that's-
wheelbarrow
But
that I used to play
that's
with my
already
kids."
kind of corrupted, I think, if it's like alcohol. But like making it some like just treat seems sort of innocent and something to cling
right.
on
You'd
to.
almost think like for kids
Yeah.
it'd be like a lemonade stand.
would make
yeah,
more
ice
sense.
cream, something. The hot
Even
dog
the kid
felt
in the woods
weird.
has a lemonade stand.
I guess
right?
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then maybe that was why.
as someone who saw the movie first, and I think for some odd reason saw that scene first, maybe someone had posted on YouTube, I don't know, which makes it even more just with no context, just being like, what is this movie about? A hot dog cart.
a lot
a
about
hot
hot
dog
dogs.
But like,
No hot dog cart.
I would have assumed.
Yeah, I know that hot dog cart is so funny.
I know that hot dog.
I would have assumed this is coming from the story. This is referencing some like
Yeah.
detail from the story that like is more fleshed out, but just realizing that this is an invention purely for the film makes it all the more insane.
Like,
Yeah,
I think maybe they wanted it to be like a rosebud.
Yeah,
kind of
it feels
thing.
like a rosebud situation.
But
Yeah.
also, like, my first
The
thought was
core of
like,
his being.
sick party that you have a hot dog cart.
Dude, that thing was decked the fuck out too.
And
That was a
he
cool-ass
decked it
hot
out. He
dog
put
cart.
the
Yeah.
umbrella on it.
Umbrella's nice. Yeah.
But again, yeah, that moment of like, I know this hot dog. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't just any hot dog cart.
this is
Like we
mine.
usually have at these
Yeah.
parties.
Yeah.
it is a moment where you can feel Frank and Eleanor Perry go, what can he harken back to?
It's a weird choice. Don't get me wrong.
thing.
But yeah.
He needs a physical manifestation of his
Yeah.
memory with his child. What could it be?
Yeah.
Hot dog cart? Okay.
Yeah, it could have been
Maybe
something
a hot
tennis.
dog vendor walked by.
It
right,
should have
as they
been
were
tennis
writing.
related,
Oh,
right? It should have been like a tennis
Could've
something.
worked.
I don't know.
What do you guys make of all of the people, the let's call it the servants, who he kind of keeps like recognizing, missing? They're not there. There's
Yeah.
like the driver, a couple bartenders, and then later at the pool, like the guy who owns it. Like,
This is also fascinating to me too, because the guy who plays the driver, he's excellent. I love the way he plays that. He basically plays
He's
that.
seething with rage the
You're-
entire time.
Yeah,
well,
you're-
because Burt Lancaster's being a dick.
Yeah, he
It's
is.
like, oh, the guy who used to have this job was a real
And he
great
also
one.
doesn't know him, but he knows Burt Lancaster. And it's
Right.
like, do you not pick up on that at all, bro? Yeah, wild scene.
But apparently, in the that's a reshoot as well. The original version, that role was played by Billy D. Williams.
No.
And I'm like,
shit.
it's such a shame that clearly nothing was held on to.
He was probably too charming. in it. That's why they had to get rid of it.
I would love to see the Billy D. Williams.
Also, imagine what that would do for your like movie Matrix thing that you have Billy D,
Yeah.
Burt Lancaster, and Joan Rivers
It's
in
just
one
too much.
film.
It's too much.
It's like it's a nexus.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like all the bartenders who's like, haven't seen you around lately,
Yeah.
and they're like, who the fuck are you? Or like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that one-off line in the short story where it's like he saw a bartender he recognized who was also rude to him because like he was rude to him on behalf of the hostess, which
Yeah.
is like
Right.
great. Like, so I think that sort of an extrapolation of that.
Yeah.
We don't know.
And
fucking deal, man.
it could be a lot of things. It could be like that, they all talk to each other, obviously, about these crazy rich people and their lavish lives.
That's true, yeah. Well, I was just going to say, I think there is also an over-familiarity with, like, a bartender or anything. I mean, just generally. Yeah. Even...
this is someone they don't have to be nice
They don't have to... Right, exactly.
They can read the room. They're like, oh, everyone hates this fucking guy.
Fuck him.
I don't got to treat him nice at all.
Also... Well, I was at a concert on Saturday, and I had a couple Coors Lights.
Ooh,
and I got
party boy, huh?
I got one from one window, and then I went to a different window, and I was like, I'll take another Coors Light. Not remember, like being like, this person should not know who I am and why I'm getting another Coors Light. And
you're part of the problem, dude.
You don't need to know that. And they're like, don't worry, I'm rolling with it. And they like had my ideas. I'm rolling with it, Tyler. And I was like, okay, I guess we have a friendship now. So I think it's like, so when even that guy, even these bartenders aren't nice to him, it's a real stake to the heart, maybe.
Yeah.
I was just going to say real quickly, I'm only like halfway through, but I'm actually watching that Netflix miniseries with Nicole Kidman and
A Perfect Couple.
Schreiber, the Perfect Couple. Liev Schreiber, thank you. But there's a character in there that's like the maid, who's like an Eastern European maid or Russian maid, who like basically is as snobby as anyone and is maybe snobbier still. So I like the idea that by being in this role, like there is snobbery even within the realm of like The Help.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We should
wrap it up.
Final thoughts, and then get to our vote
Somehow.
Yeah,
a lot of threads.
Yeah.
A lot of threads to tell.
Well, like I said, it's so fucking open-ended, man. I don't think
this movie bombed.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
And
it would be a weird movie to see.
I don't know if I'm
60s.
recommending this film to anyone, even though I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it's a hard one to say. Yes, give yourself 90 minutes with this bad boy.
I think as long as they know nothing about it, I think it's a great movie to recommend because it might really fucking ruin their whole night.
That is true. You gotta sit with it.
If you know nothing going into it, which I wish I had known nothing, I would have been like, "What is happening, dude?"
That's like I was in a band in college, and we played at Wesleyan University. Mm-hmm. After our show, we got very high on marijuana.
Sure.
And we're somehow with these vegan film majors who were like, let's watch a comedy like Dumb and Dumber or something. And they're like, yeah, let's watch Blue Velvet. That's David Lynch's comedy. And I was like, cool, sounds fun. Never seen a David Lynch movie before.
Oh boy.
Pitched as a Dumb and Dumber type film.
Damn.
And at like 3 a.m, I'm at the end of that, and I'm like, what the fuck? Never seen another David Lynch movie because it fucked me up so bad.
Bad trip, man.
I had a bad trip, and like I feel like I could do that to someone with this movie. I could,
but I wouldn't. Isn't that fun?
So yeah. Anyway, fun party trick when tell your stoned
like
friends that Blue Velvet is a comedy.
You like the Olympics? Maybe you'll enjoy the swim.
Yeah. Very tonally similar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Rich people ruining poor people's lives, acting with entitlement, but really the time is up, and it's all been just a show about nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the Olympics.
Yeah. We are all the Olympics.
He struts and frets his hour upon the stage. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We can do a compressed thing because I think we sort of have a sense of each other. So each person will say, did you like the story? Did you like the movie? Which is better? So we're going to start with you, Buzzy. Did you like the story?
I did.
You brought it to us. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the movie?
Is this a movie that one likes? That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like liking and not liking doesn't seem applicable to the I would say I liked it. Yeah.
Okay.
Clearly I was like really chewing on it. So it did something for me.
Yeah.
It'll stick with you.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't.
I'm very proud of that Odyssey thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, you really unpacked it. And I know that sounds glib and like I'm joking, but no, you really unpacked it.
Made me feel good. I have that insight.
And so
Allan doesn't give a shit.
Allan's he's deep in meditation.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, get me out of here.
No, I'm just trying to think of what I'm going to say.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Which one did I like more? What do you think I like more?
Which is better?
I think the story's better.
Cool. one for John Cheever.
Yeah.
Allan, you are up next.
A rare W for John Cheever.
Yeah.
Put it on the board.
A series of failures.
Cheever just 360 slam dunked one.
You're welcome.
They call him the Chekhov of the suburbs, which feels, if I was Chekhov, I'd be pissed about that.
Maybe it's just
I think they
he's in
should
the
both
same-
be pissed off.
He's in the same section.
Yeah.
Chekhov's pool.
Should have called it that. Yeah.
All right, story. Love, not love.
Yeah, I really, really love the story. I also don't know if I say I love the movie, but I have a thing where if a movie is fascinating, it sort of doesn't matter if I like it or not. Like I've watched movies over and over again that I'm like, I don't really understand this movie, but it still fascinates me. And I think this movie really fascinates me. They make a lot of very strange choices. My brain will probably always try to like figure that out and probably will never figure it out. But I was also going to say the vibe of that movie reminded me of, what's the name of that movie? Wake and Fright.
Oh, yeah.
It has a lot of Wake and Fright energy.
The Australian Outback movie.
Yeah, like go down the Yaba.
Yeah.
And it has like a lot of like kind of abrupt feverishness from a movie that you would not see that coming. And if I didn't know anything about this story, I think it would have the same effect that movie had on me, where I was like really caught off guard of what was actually going down.
Yeah.
But having said that, I don't know actually. There's more to unpack in the movie, sort of. So I'm kind of drawn. I don't know. I'm kind of tied on which I like the best. Actually,
okay. Interesting. Yeah. That's a valid answer. All right.
Can I throw something in? You can put it in earlier or not. Hated the score. I hated the score.
The score is weird. Yeah,
it's like very heavy-handed and melodramatic.
Weird. Yeah,
they could have made like a much more interesting choice.
Yeah.
Well, that's Marvin Hamlish is a beloved composer in some ways.
Beloved by whom?
It would fit in a different movie. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say is like there's many Broadway productions he's done great scores for.
And films too.
But this and in other ways, like his score for like The Spy Who Loved Me, like just
right.
What are you doing, Marvin Hamlish? Jeez, oh Pete.
Just collecting that paycheck, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, Tyler. Sorry.
Wow.
Are you going to ask me some questions?
What did you think of the book?
Do you like that?
Yeah, you know the drill.
It's my podcast
You
now.
know the drill by now.
All right. I liked it. I like
Power vacuum.
Gotta suck it up. Someone's got to get it.
Well, you know the drill. You like that?
I know.
You
That's
like
right.
that story.
That's right.
I like the story. The story's great. Yeah.
You like that movie?
I do really like the movie, and I like the movie. The reason why I watched it initially years ago was because it was recommended by Gilbert Gottfried on TCM.
Oh, that's amazing!
His favorite movies.
That's amazing.
He loves it, and so it's really on his recommendation.
This guy keeps swimming, and what's it all about?
Yeah, that's certainly what I was thinking the whole time. Yeah,
incredible.
When. The Iago the Parrot recommended.
Yeah. Truly. Incredible. I was with the depth of Gilbert. And I think I preferred the short story. But I would definitely recommend the film to most people.
I would say I prefer the cleanness of the short story.
Yes. The short story is so...
It's so lean.
Incredibly economical in like the way that certain things are handled and done.
Yeah.
Again, like where you're like, oh, you realize he's a philanderer. He's out of money because he's like, his ex-lover's like, I'm not going to give you more money. It's like all done so cleanly and so interestingly. Yeah.
Real show, don't tell.
Yeah. Exactly.
I hate to say it.
I hate to say it. That's true.
I would definitely recommend it
true.
with the qualification that there's no particular reason why I thought of this person who I'm recommending it to. It's not like I'm like, hey, this is you. I wouldn't say this. Right. Hey, this film reminded me of you. You should watch it.
I think it's
you're a piece
remember
of
that
shit.
time? Remember that time you swam in all those pools in Connecticut?
Yeah.
I just saw this film.
They made a fucking documentary about
Perfect for you. You know how you live your life in a state of constant denial? You're gonna love this.
You're gonna love this
so much.
I think I would recommend it to someone who expressed an interest in like something similar, and then I would be like, you should check this.
What
movie
would be
out.
something similar other than the movie you just said?
Wake and Fright. Another
Something
one that I
similar
thought of was The Shout.
Never heard of it.
It's like this.
You guys are too smart for
I think
me.
it's from the 80s. It's like this. It's also a kind of surprisingly feverish movie. It's basically this guy wanders into like the orbit of this couple that are like hanging out on vacation in the woods, and then it becomes
what could go wrong.
It's not exactly sinister, but like he's just
all my favorite feel good movies.
He's just around more and more and becoming more and more entrenched in their lives, and it becomes this weird sort of like threesome thing that they're having. But it's called The Shout because he tells him he just got back studying in, like, I think the Outback, actually, learning the shout that can kill people. And he unleashes it at the end.
This is what you shouldn't feel bad about not knowing it.
Yeah. It's sounding schlocky, but it's
like
actually
Avatar: The Last
beautiful
Airbender
movie.
Okay.
But the sound design on the actual shout is fucking breathtaking. It's one of the craziest sounds I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I would say Mad Men. I think you're right. I think if someone likes Mad Men to the point where it's Frank Pearson, not Frank Perry, who was a consultant on Mad Men.
Yes, because Frank Perry is passed at this point.
Yeah, he had passed already. Okay, so I mean, it'd been years. Because I feel like that's a huge. Again, like I say, it's a huge.
Yeah, but the weirdness and dreaminess of it is not Mad Men-y.
That's true. It's almost more Sopranos in that way. Maybe Sopranos as well. Which Matt Weiner was a writer on, so it kind of makes sense.
Maybe
you
Severance.
only get Mad Men because it's Sopranos.
Severance has a little bit of that, like what's going on, where am I, why is this happening? You don't know.
I still haven't seen that show.
It's great.
Kill yourself. Sorry, what was it?
All right,
we cut that out.
I guess we're signing off right now.
You have one life and you
have
failed.
to say what you felt.
How do you feel about the moment where he takes a straw through a hot dog and drinks a beer? He creates a glizzy straw.
It's an act of genius, obviously.
So as someone that started with the movie initially a couple years ago, has read the story and then rewatched the movie. I do like them all. I think I also just think the Perrys are a fascinating filmmaking team. Also, just a little bit of a tangent. Eleanor Perry wrote a roman à clef, I think in the early 80s, about her divorce from Frank Perry, in which she basically recounts the making of all the films they did together, but with the names changed, sure. But in a way where maybe not in 1980 you need to be in the know, but now you just do a Wikipedia search and you're like, right. Oh, that producer is Sam Spiegel. Oh, that's Truman Capote. Oh, and it's very dishy and it's very good. And I don't think she actually thought her husband was a very good director. But she was like, but I need somebody to direct this who's on my side, sort of. So I do recommend Blue Pages if you can find it at a used book shop. I think I found it online for $8 hardcover, whatever. So that said, I think the Perrys have more interesting films. I think this is an interesting film, and I think from a cinephile point of view, there's definite value in checking it out. But Cheever's story is famous far beyond, and for good reason. It is such an amazing piece of work, and just encapsulated in 12 pages, it really shows the state of the art of the short story. So I can't help but pick it. So I think that's a unanimous, essentially, win for the short story. Though I think we all think, if it sounds like your bag in our sort of rambling discussion, check out the movie too.
Yeah,
it's a groovy time.
Yeah,
it is.
It's a good scene, man.
Grooving.
Maybe don't pick up the Marvin Hamlish score, but yeah,
they have to burn that, right? You can't find that anywhere.
Okay, cool. So we're coming back for spooky season on our next episode. We might do another Goosebumps special. So we're hoping to cook something up for that. We had a lot of fun reading old Goosebumps books last year. And just keep following us. Buzzy, did you have anything you want to plug?
Just my book, which you already plugged. Baby Got Facts. Totally 90s trivia. I like big brains and I cannot lie.
Don't we all?
I stared directly at Allan while you delivered that whole thing. Just to see
pitch perfect.
How far can we take this?
Eyes roll back in your head. Yes.
Both of our eyes.
There was some sort of mind melt.
Allan is the kindest, gentlest, bravest man I've ever met.
Okay.
That was a Manchurian Candidate reference.
Nicely done. Okay, so stay subscribed to the Skylight Books podcast series. We'll be back with something good real soon. Have a lovely rest of your time.
listeners
in the
write
pool.
if you want Ira Levin's Halloween Spooktacular, where we do Rosemary's Baby and the Stepford Wives.
We should really just do it so he could stop.
Ira Levin's Halloween Spooktacular.
Okay.
Could do it.
Physically write in, though.
Yeah, physically write in, yeah. Care of 1818 North Vermont.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Skylight Books podcast series. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to check out the book featured in this episode, or others, please visit skylightbooks.com. If you're in the Los Angeles area, stop by for one of our live in-person author events. You can find a calendar on our website. If you like this podcast, leave us a review. It really helps us out. Our music is by Doug the Piano Wire. Until next time.